You are now tuned into the Big Dawg Shyt Podcast with your host, George Tucker. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Black Card Bully Cam. Get ready for the Big Dawg Shyt Podcast with your host, George Tucker.
The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. We about to put you up on this dog game.
Welcome to another episode of Big Dawg Shyt. And tonight I think I need to do a little backtracking to make sure I share with everybody the idea behind this dog collar that I wear. I've been asked by several viewers, what's the purpose of the dog collar? Why are you on here with a dog collar? Well, for those who don't know, I'm a member of a fraternity. That fraternity is Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and we are known as the Q Dogs. So this dog collar, depends on what kind of event, what kind of outing we're having. It's not uncommon for us to wear dog collars. So we are affectionately known as Q Dogs. So I just figured it would be, right in line with the name of the show, Big Dawg Shyt, that I, pop my collar. And I guess I've been a member of this fraternity now 34 years. Matter of fact, my 34th anniversary was March 21st. So it's even more reason for me to wear this in honor of 34 years in this fraternity. Now, let's move back to the other reason that these Big Dawg Shyt was becoming and befitting for me and my show. I've been in these dogs for a very long time, and I've been through a very big number of dogs in several different breeds. And I just felt like what I'd like to do is share some information and share some interactions and share some experiences, sort of like my opportunity and for me to give you all free game, those of y'all that need it, or those of y'all that just want to hear it. So this week, I think I wanted to sort of focus on the questions that I've been asked during the week, because there's a million things to ask and a million things to address. But I think that based on some of the things that I was asked during the week, which were based on some questions that arose after someone had watched some of my other episodes, or what some of the reels that are being posted. So I think that one of the things that keeps recurring is, when do you breed your female? Depending on the posture of your breeding program. Meaning, do you breed her just because she's in heat? Do you breed her because you are trying to make sure that you are one of the first to get access to a certain stud, which is always a good, that's always a good strategy if you're just about trying to make money off dogs. That's one of the things you might want to do. But for me, when someone asks me, when should you breed? I think it's when one of two things, when you're looking for something in particular, or someone is looking for something in particular that you can produce with this breeding. Or you may really be curious about something new that you may be able to produce from the breeding. When I say new, as in a rare feature, or a feature that you may be able to produce with a much more obvious imprint. And the reason I say that is, a lot of times puppies are rehomed between 8 to 12 weeks. And that's the normal age range. But depending on what you're breeding for, as we all know, a lot of puppies don't really get their adult dog features until they are, the ones that you can count on not having much more of a metamorphosis are, especially in the world of big ropes. Some of these big ropes look like really nice big rope, as in a lot more extreme when they're young puppies. And when they get to be about 6, 7 months old, maybe 5 months old, you start to see that rope start to be less of a big rope and more of a nice rope on a regular Frenchie. So what I do is, as a rule of thumb, if I'm interested in the outcome of the litter, because I'm hoping to add to what I want, I try to wait, unless there's some dog that's clearly far superior to the other puppies, then of course that's the pick. And if you're trying to add to your breeding program, that's the one you pick. But in a lot of breedings, you may have that one, but the next 2 or 3 puppies look really, really close in quality when they're young. And sometimes people sell those puppies based on the quality that they're hoping it retains, or based on the features that it looks like it's going to develop based on the breeding. And the person buys it based on that. And you look up and see the dogs 7, 8 months later, and they look nothing like that. So for me, if it's a breeding that I'm really interested in, I wait until I have room to try to raise the pups up to an age where you can discern that there is going to be a whole lot of changes. And my experience has been that age is probably about, you're really close to perfect in your process if you wait until they're about 7 months old. Some, like I said, it's not that you can tell how the whole litter is going to turn out, but at about 4 months, there may be one that's just like head and shoulders above the rest, whether it be you're looking for short legs, short necks, wide heads, some type of other features, short backs, the size of the rope. So those things, there may be one that's way above those. So with that one, you're either hoping to sell it for whatever the market can bear, because you raise it to make sure that there's no guessing game. So that's the other side of that. When you raise your pups to a certain age, you've saved a person who may be a serious buyer from rolling dice, because now they have a clear picture of what the puppy is more likely than not going to continue to look like. And in those scenarios, it's not that you have a price on the pup. When I say what the market price is, it's basically whatever someone offers you that you figure is worthy of you having reared the puppy that long, and then letting them have it, especially if it's one that is a game changer. So that seems to be, in this day and age, I'm talking about now, where I won't say that the market is saturated, because each person may have a different market. But I can say that the breed is based on its popularity, and I'm talking about Frenchies. The breed, based on its popularity, has created a tidal wave of breeders. And so now those people who are just interested in pets have a way of procuring pets without having to buy from big breeders. So if the thing that you're hoping to do is to stay in this breeding lane, it's almost going to require that there be some very elite, very special, rare features, characteristics that you're producing, or at that point, the breeding program may be overproducing and incapable of keeping up with the production, out producing the demand. So that's what I would tell someone that's wanting to know, when should you breed your female? Sometimes that question, when you should breed your female, has to do with, should it be the first heat or the second heat? Of course, AKC will let you register puppies to a female that has puppies. I think it's 10 or 11 months old when she has the puppies. But you can look at some females and tell that by the way they look, that they're not even mature enough. I mean, they have a whole lot of puppy ways. Then there's some females that are acting as if they're grown when they're 7 months old. A good rule of thumb is, for me, and has worked pretty well, is a female is at least 10 months old. So if she comes in heat at 7, 8 months, I pass her, because for a couple of reasons. Oftentimes, there may be more than one female in heat, and you may end up with a lot of puppies. But more importantly, because you just let it pass, so that her next heat she'll be more mature, and you have a little more time to plan, and you will have seen more of what she looks like in an adult, because she may make a few more changes, either based on her facial features or her structure. So you just wait until the second heat, and you'll be fine. Another thing that has been a hot topic, or an area of real concern, or real people looking for guidance, as in the color breedings. I mean, the few years ago, when people were getting excited about lilacs and chocolates, at one time it was that the Frenchies didn't have what they call testable chocolate. You either had to go by the red eye glow or actually see a visual chocolate, because there was supposedly no way at that time to test for chocolate. But now they've identified as cocoa, and of course, testable chocolate being the Isabella strand of chocolate. So a lot of people are starting to, once again, deal with, I don't want to say saturation, but easy access to all these things that at one time, in and of themselves, dictated that their dogs had a high price on them. Because I remember when I first started buying Frenchies, a lilac and tan with no pie, no brindle was like, a unicorn. And now, I mean, at that time, I mean, I may have been misquoted, but there were some people throwing around numbers that they were getting exorbitant numbers, high figures for lilac and tan, no pie, no brindle dogs. Now that same very expensive dog is commonplace. So some of the things people ask me now is about the importance of color, and it is so common. Once again, it's like everything else; it goes back to structure. And I'm being asked, do I see there being a trend where people are going more back to the less color, more structure? And I didn't understand for a while the way the market would move, the emphasis would be placed in these Frenchies. And I think that Of course, colors really bring your attention to the dog. But then once you start looking at the dog, it's the features. And I think that the more the people that really are in tune with, more favorable to the what used to be known as the features from dogs from the UK, which were more standard looking, a little more leggy, um, a little more muzzle, a little longer backs, but really functional, really athletic dogs. Um, and once you start looking at the structure, even though they may have the DNA in the US, from what I've observed, because I'm not trying to just repeat what I've heard, I'm just trying to elaborate on what I've seen and what I've come to learn after starting to do a good bit of studying myself and observing what people really want versus what people have and versus what people uh, put huge promotions behind. Some of it clicks, some of it doesn't. But I say that to say the safest thing, if you're going to jump on something new, the safest thing to jump on may not be the most lucrative, it may not be the most popular at the time, but the safest thing to jump on now, I didn't say anyway, the safest thing to jump on, it's some feature that any person can see, not just some DNA that only breeders can appreciate. The safest thing is to jump on the new features that any person can see, because one thing about that is they're either going to like it or not. There's always going to be a group of people that like what you like. So if you jump on these new features first, you'll be in that minority of people that are able to capitalize on the other people that once they're exposed to that new feature, they're going to want it too. And I said that because there's the hairless. There's a group of people that are really into hairless. And that group grows just based on sight. You know, when you see it, either you are attracted to it or you're not. Big ropes, which have now taken over the Frenchie world. I mean, if you want to really have some motion with a dog, it's much easier to get motion with a big rope. The fluffy, people like features they can see. The Isabella thing, I mean, it has a value, but the problem with that Isabella thing is, unless you really know what you're looking for, it doesn't look any different from any other chocolate dog. A chocolate dog is a chocolate dog. So, you know, it's a breeder's feathering his cap to go and be able to let you know his dog is a new shade and all this. But once again, people are still attracted to Merle because you can clearly distinguish that dog is Merle versus another dog is not. I say again, features, clear, apparent, obvious features, not just to breeders, but to anyone who sees the dog, is the safest way to move into something that you think that you may be on the cutting edge of. When the fluffies first hit, when the hairless is hit, when the Merle hit, and when I say features, I guess I have to include rare colors, because if there comes some other color out here and it's something that can be reproduced consistently, that's going to be a new feature that, even though it's the same old feature, it's a new version of it. There's another color. So I think that, like I said, to address the concerns that a lot of people have, because they may be told about how great this Frenchie world is, and then when they get in, they realize that it's a world of people already in it. And unless you are breeding or buying the best, you are breeding or buying just like the rest. Now, after you're breeding and buying, you have to move immediately over to, and as I speak all the time, on branding and marketing. And then only if those two click will you be able to deal with selling. So the safest way to not end up having to be a wonderful marketer and a wonderful brander, and then some, great salesperson, is to first focus on what kind of product you want to sell and to whom, or what kind of product, or what kind of dog you want to own. So those are the things that have been hot topics this week, because, after people go on to the bigger shows like Rumble in the Jungle, and now soon to be coming up is the Go Viral 3.0 in Miami. You're either trying to showcase there, or you're trying to identify what's hot, what's next to be hot, and what is now not. So, and based on those things, there'll be some people down there ready to make some big moves. So those are the things that if you haven't made a big move and you're thinking about making a big move, make a safe move, even if it's not a big move, because those things are going to be what dictates the temperature of where you're going. Features that people can see, whether they are a trained eye or novel eye, those are the safe features to invest in. And once again, like the California Frenchie, and when I say California Frenchie, I keep talking about those little toad-looking dogs, the Grinch stuff, and what is the name? HP stuff. The Dr. Seuss dogs, those are, it's a whole nother lane. But those are features that you can see that are not common in the standard Frenchie world by any stretch of imagination. They're short, they're very cobby, and they're very compact. So that's another lane that looks like it's about to catch fire again. And that's also caused me to look at my program and decide that, I'm going to do some downsizing, because I've decided what direction I want to go. I'm a big rope man. So some of the breedings I made that were for DNA, for Fluffy, all those things, I've gotten them up to an age now where I've picked the one or two that I want, and I'm about to offer to the public some unbelievable prices, the rest of them. Some dogs that people can really start them a camp with. I'm talking Fluffies, I'm talking testable carrier, I'm talking testable carrier Fluffies, I'm talking fluffy carriers, lilacs, platinums, all of that. I've decided which way I'm going to go. So that's why I was also speaking on about making sure that when you do your breedings, that you know why you're doing a breeding. And if you have already planned, all the marketing behind them, go ahead and make the breeding. But if you don't have time to market, and you're not bringing to market something that visually is rare, whether it be structure, color, other things, you're going to hopefully be creating them so you can now raise them and pick the one or two you want. Because otherwise, you may become frustrated and end up you may be able to have a lot of interest, but if you're sort of new and hadn't had a lot of marketing behind it, you'll be able to sell them quick. but you have to do it at what the market will bear for the lack of familiarity with your camp. They're in love with your production, but they want the reduction. So let all that be some of the things that you consider when you start talking about your breedings. Another very often asked question this week that I've encountered was about, do you buy a male? Do you buy a female? My immediate answer is, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get into creating a whole kennel of dogs? Or are you trying to make sure that you have a dog that may be able to create a lane for you for the shows? Buying a female is just as much a commitment as buying a male, because now you're going to automatically have the issue of whelping. And not everybody that hangs out a shingle or hangs out something or places something on these social media platforms about being a whelper is a whelper. You oftentimes run into a situation where a person is overwhelmed, meaning they have too many litters that they're whelping. And some of the sacrifices in that scenario are going to be somebody's puppies. And God forbid that somebody's dog that gets parvo or coccidia, and you may look up and either all the puppies may be sacrificed there, or someone will leave there with what will ultimately lead to their demise, meaning they left there sick but hadn't started showing signs. And I've had that happen to me on numerous occasions from whelpers. So that's some of the things you need to keep in mind if you're going to commit to buying a female rather than a male. The flip side of that is, if you buy a male and he does not grow up to be a game changer, he doesn't have to be a showstopper. But either he has to be a game changer, or he has to be believed by those who are entertained by your marketing. They have to believe that they can create themselves a game changer with him. Either he is a showstopper, game changer, or he has been marketed so well that those that see him believe that they can create some game changers with him. Other than that, your male dog, and I'm talking to people who don't have their own females to breed to, females. If you don't have females, you have to pick the right male. And if the camp you're going to get it from is not quite comfortable with you getting that kind of W, they're going to have so many stipulations on. They want so many stud credits and this and that, and wanting to say that they keep some kind of connection to the dog. That's if they believe he's a showstopper. But if not, if they're not trying to have some kind of continued relationship with that dog, then they don't believe that's the dog. Because very few people are going to sell you a stud quality male pup without some kind of conditions, whether they get a stud credit or 2 or 3, or whether they want you to be able to do pup back deals with the dog or something. So if you're considering a puppy or a dog for your first dog, I just wanted you to know the challenges with the female, which may be costly, but the challenge with a male who's the wrong male, or the right male, and the inability to create the kind of marketing that you need, you still end up with the same result. Too much dog, not enough time. Therefore, very little return. Female, too many risks that seem to come into fruition that may cause you to get frustrated. Bad experience with the pregnancy. You breed your dog, she doesn't take. Bad experience with the stud. You breed your dog, she takes, she have puppies, and they look more like squirrels than they do elite Frenchies, although you would charge it for that kind of price. And then the third thing is, you just keep moving down the chain. First, it was they may not get pregnant. Second, they get pregnant and have pups that you don't like. Third, they have pups. You have a whelper, and you have some real issues with mortality with your puppies. So it just goes on. And then even after that, you pay your whelp or you get your puppies, and if you don't get rid of them quickly, you end up with dogs. So just know when you're getting in, why you're getting in, and what you're hoping to get out, or know when to get out. So I think that if you just use that rule of thumb, when you start talking about females, is knowing, what all the risks are. And when you're talking about males, knowing that there's one big risk, and that he's not him. And I mean him in the absolute sense, but him as in your game changer for you sense. So, and we've all fallen victim to being blind, as in so set on wanting to believe what you see that you are refusing to accept what you see. So good luck to everybody as it relates to getting in and getting in the right way. And the best way to understand whether you got in the right way or not is to get in your way. Don't be persuaded. Don't be coerced into getting something that you really didn't intend to do to begin with. Meaning that if you intended to just have a stud, quality male, and if you decide to do something with them, fine, stick to that. Because once you start talking about these females, even though everybody tells, hey man, if you're getting in the stud, the breeding game, get you a female. What you just got was a job. Unless you co-own the dog, and that's a whole nother conversation, co-owning where somebody lets you basically the foster parent for the dog, you foster the dog lives with you, but when it's time to do the breeding part of this dog's purpose, there's somebody else who's going to take care of that. Well, that's fine. And then they just bring the female back to you. And whatever you had to do with the puppies, whatever deals worked out with the puppies, that's fine. But other than that, you're going to be with a second job. None of us looking for new jobs. We're all looking for upgraded hobbies. So take all of that with a grain of salt, because once again, this is from my experiences, which have become my expenses. So good luck.
Big Dawg Shyt Podcast with your host, George Tucker. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast with your host, George Tucker.
The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Put you up on this dog game.